Hello everybody, James Ribeiro here at SwitchWatch, your home for everything Nintendo Switch related. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest news and reviews on the Switch, you might want to consider subscribing. If you do want to, hit that button below. Also, if you do like this video, smash that thumbs up and we'd love to hear from you. Pop the comments down below. So today we're going to be talking to you about Splatoon 2. Really excited to get into this one. It's a Nintendo IP that's been touted and bigged up as one of the massive games of the year. So, is the game ink-readable or is this a damp squid? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's get cracking. Splatoon is Nintendo's version of a multiplayer shooter without the violence and gore, making it great fun for the kids. You play as an inkling, a human that transforms into a squid at will. You can shoot and knock out your enemy, but there's no point in doing so, aside from temporarily taking them out of the game. For anyone that played the first iteration of the game, there will be no surprises in the gameplay. It plays pretty much identically with a bunch of new features. The controls are sharp both in handheld or when docked, but the maps are frantic and it's definitely one to play on your TV most of the time, or at least that's how I enjoy playing it. You may want to turn off the motion aiming depending on your preference. I personally preferred to aim manually without this enabled. As a squid, you can ride your team's paint, charging your weapon, being stealthy and moving around much quicker. You can also climb walls, making maps more three-dimensional and letting you get great vantage points. Enemy paint seriously slows you down and usually causes you to get killed very, very quickly as your enemy catches up and splats you. A single-player campaign sees you go through a platform-style arena with individual short levels and huge bosses. It's a really good challenge and a fun story. There are over 30 levels and it has a nice difficulty gradient. There's a lot here which surprised me. The previous game didn't have the best single-player campaign. The main new game mode is Salmon Run. This is a horde mode where waves of enemies come at you from all angles, followed by a boss. Each of these waves gets progressively harder and you have a number of golden eggs that you have to collect and take back to a base before you can progress with it. This mode, funny enough, whilst you can play in single player, is actually better played in multiplayer as it involves you working with a team of 4. When you're not in battle, the main place you're going to be hanging out is in Inkopolis. This is a really cool place actually, and a nice way to get you around the game. You can use the menu to get quickly from place to place, but you can also walk around this virtual town where you can see other characters and you can start looking at their gear, and you can visit different NPCs to buy your equipment and to go and start different modes of the game. Heading over to Decker Tower, this is where you start your online battles. The main mode, and really where you're going to spend a whole bunch of your time, is in Turf War mode. This is awesome. This is where you get to paint the town red, well, green and pink. It's great fun, 4-on-4 battles, nice and short, and you jump into a nice quick match, and if a match goes down south for you, you've got a poor team, it stops you from getting stuck in that dreary feeling that you can sometimes get in other games like Battlefield or Call of Duty. I love this mode personally. This is where you're leveling up, this is where you're getting your hard-earned cash that you can go and spend on your new gear, and it has a really nice feel about it. Interestingly, the game actually separates your currency between single player mode and online mode. You get to use different loadouts, and this lets you use some of the advanced weapons within the single player campaign quite early on to keep you entertained. Salmon Run is a real great blast if you do get a chance to play it with other teammates. However, sadly, it's not one that you can choose to play very often. It's only available as special events. This feels a lot more like a shooter. This is where you actually need to work together cooperatively to collect golden eggs, and when your teammates die, they need to kind of move over to you in their dead state where you can go and revive them. It's a nice break if you want one from Turf War and gives you something else to aim towards. It has a very linear feel to it. As you work through your level, you're getting a whole bunch of different gear, you're getting stronger, and eventually you're going to hit level 10. Once you get it, it feels like a bit of a celebration. You unlock ranked mode. It's a smart move, and once you do unlock it, you get a real sense of achievement. All of the players who got here have earned it, and therefore the level of competition goes up a notch. There are 3 modes, and interestingly, each has a separate rank. The first is Splat Zones. In this mode, you have to paint a rectangle that's marked in the middle of the map and take control of it. It's very fun and frantic and needs cooperation to win. If the team you're playing against know what they're doing, they'll have people guarding this area and the common pathways towards it. The second one is tower control. You need to get into the enemy territory on a moving tower, count down the timer and win. And the third is Rainmaker, where you carry a Rainmaker weapon into the enemy area, which is a lot like a reverse capture the flag. All three modes in ranked mode are really fun, and combined with Turf War mean that online gives you a whole host of different options in which to play and splat your enemies. The final online mode is League Battles. In order to get to League Battles, you need to get your rank up to B-, and this will let you do team-on-team battles. This doesn't affect your rank and lets you actually join with your friends. Joining up with your friends is sadly harder than it needs to be in this game. It's one area where I feel Nintendo have actually let down an otherwise flawless game. There is no party option available outside of matches, making joining each other harder than it needs to be. In Turf War, it's pretty easy to join a friend. However, if they're just about to join a queue or 8 players are already in that, you actually have to sit the whole match out. The only thing that makes this slightly more bearable is they're only 3 minutes. But it feels oversimplified and yet at the same time harder than it needs to be. When you do join up, there's no way for you to actually ensure you're on the same team, meaning you switch between playing together and being against each other. Once you do get to ranked mode, after all that leveling up, I was extremely disappointed to find out I actually couldn't join with my friends at all. I went in search of an answer from Nintendo, and what I stumbled across was an explanation that talks about a sacrifice to ensure the game is balanced and everyone has a good fun time. I do get where they're coming from, and it does eliminate a lot of the bother, a lot of the nuisance chat that we know Nintendo strives not to enforce upon people. However, part of the fun for me is joining up with my friends, and the only way I can really control this is if I have a party of 8 and we all join and play together, or if I have friends round. In this area, I think Nintendo still has some work to do. The app itself is actually fine. Joining is really not that hard, and when I did listen to it on my phone, I found the voice control really good. I personally don't have the same gripes that a lot of people have raised about using a phone to do it. I think personally that a phone is probably better than most headsets out there. Having said that though, you do have a dependency on the phone, and depending on the battery life of your actual handset, this could be an issue, especially if you don't have nice headphones. And I have heard that some people have experienced serious issues like having to have your screen unlocked and not being able to use their phone whilst in the app. It's definitely not the most elegant solution available, let's leave it at that. One of the things I really love about the game are all the different weapons and gear. At first you could be fooled into thinking that this is a simple shooter, very child friendly, but you start to see that actually this game does cater to the hardcore gamers out there. Ranked mode makes you work for it, you have to unlock leagues, the ranks are separate for different modes, and there's a huge variety of weapons, gear and different skills. The weapons out there are mostly the same as the first one, but with some really nice new additions. You still have your splatter shot, which I think of as an all-rounder. You've got your roller, which is mostly a melee weapon, and you've got your charger weapons, which, you know, are basically snipers. There are a few special ones out there. One of the ones that I like is the Splat Zones. This is really cool as it lets you actually dodge and roll, which is the first time this has been available in the game. Each weapon itself has a special ability which is deployed once your special gauge is filled and you get to unleash a devastating attack or buff up your teammates, which can be particularly handy in ranked mode. Each weapon also has a secondary attack, making each one feel unique, and as you unlock more weapons you get one new unlock per level. Each weapon type that you get has some variance within it, so for example, splatter shot that you unlock at the beginning starts to give you some different abilities as you get the next one, and this really adds a lot of variety to the game. You can really get to a point where you've got the right weapon for you. And just when you start to think, this game's really cool, there's a lot of variety, there's a lot going on, you realise that your outfits give you different stats as well. Each item of clothing, and you've got multiple slots, for example, hat and clothes and shoes, have a different main ability, but as you level up that item separately to leveling up your character, you actually unlock additional abilities, and the rarity of the item gives you a different number of slots. So the basic gear gives you 2 slots, something nice and rare will give you up to 4. Each different filled slot gives you different abilities. These are just enough to make your character feel unique and let you get them the way that you want without you feeling super overpowered too easily. Some of the items can actually only be purchased using the online app, which I think is a nice touch. You then need to go to an NPC within the game called Mulch. It's clever and it's a good use of the app. Once you find Mulch, you then realise just how much different stuff there is to it. Each piece of gear can actually be scrubbed, and you can take the scrubbed abilities and put them onto other items, giving you the ability to make your own custom items. This game's extremely pleasing on the eye, whether you're walking around town, looking at all the beautiful shops and kind of exploring the different characters out there, to shooting your way through a level. There's a simple but really rich palette to it. Nintendo have done a fantastic job. It doesn't stray that far from the previous version of the game, and yet somehow it looks wonderful. The customization options of your character are a really nice touch. And the most important thing for a game like this, there's no screen tear, there's no lag, and an online experience. You don't feel as though you're one step behind. The game plays really well. Somehow Nintendo have managed to make the paint itself look absolutely gorgeous. There's a really lovely effect to it, really nice sheen. It looks like paint, you know, it doesn't look just like water or some kind of sloppy gunk. And the sounds of this game are just really catchy. None of them will get you up and running, and none of them are particularly memorable, but they'll all stick in your head. And what more can you really ask from a soundtrack on a game where you're playing the levels again and again? You're going to pump a lot of hours into this one, and there's enough variety in the sounds here. It's also quite satisfying splat sounds when you do manage to get your opponent and they do a kind of when they get hit, which is rather satisfying as well. So all in all, good job with the sound. The story here is linked directly into the single player campaign mode. You are soon to discover that you are a secret agent worthy candidate, and you get taken on this journey into the world by Marie against the Octarians, who effectively are invading and trying to get rid of Inktopia and take over with a sinister plot. Nothing particularly groundbreaking and original here, though it is fun and does lend itself well to casual play, giving you just enough that you're interested in your main character. Pearl and Marina are the main broadcasters and act as the narrators of the story. They're quite funny, they come up with some really good puns, and I do like that. However, one pet peeve of mine is every time you turn the game on, you're forced to listen to them blabble on about what maps are available and what's going on, which after a little while does get a bit tedious, especially if you're on the move and you just want to jump straight into the game. From the time I've spent so far, I've had an absolute blast. We were lucky enough to have some subscribers join us for a load of matches when the game first released. So thank you very much, and a shout out to SXC, Waluigi and Indie Pixel in particular, who stuck a few rounds with us and made it a great blast. Overall, I think this game is absolutely just a blast. Ironically, this video took me a while to put together because I kept thinking to myself, oh, I need a little bit of extra footage for this or for that, and yet somehow ended up playing that same piece for an extra hour, which seems to me to be an excuse to play a game. And at the end of the day, that's what we do this for. To me, that is a brilliant sign of something great. I'm not sure about its replayability, but I really think it's there. There's a lot of depth. There are a load of different modes, which surprised me. The online play is quite deep, but we all know this game is really about online, and rank mode has you doing a lot. You know, each different type of rank has an individual rank, and I really want to level up and get the best gear possible. It's cleverly done. You know, this game is, overall, I have to give it an 8.5. It would have been a 9 or even higher had it not been for some of the pain points that I have around joining up with your friends. I do see why Nintendo have done this, and I do have hope that this can be improved. But overall, this is the most fun I've had on a game like this in a long time. I was saying to Juan when we made this video that I have not found myself playing a game where you're shooting other people and not getting annoyed, and yet I don't get annoyed at Splatoon. You know, it's fun. What more can you ask for? I think Nintendo are onto an absolute winner, and I'm pretty sure anyone picking this up, be them young or old, is going to have fun. I've popped a link down below if you do want to pick up a copy. It does actually help us out. Thanks for sticking with me through this one, guys. It's been a long video, and I think that just goes to show there's a lot to say here. It's a great game. If you did enjoy this, we'd love to hear from you. Pop a comment down below. If you did like it, then hey, hit that thumbs up, and if you do want to stay up to date with the latest reviews and news from us, please consider subscribing. Hope to see you again. Thanks a lot. Take care.